The first panel discussion, ladies and gentlemen, is on the topic navigating ethical issues in legal technology and AI, understanding the ethical concerns arising from the use of AI and legal tech tools in the legal profession. And to talk upon this, let me call upon stage our first panelist, Ms. Jyothi VK, General Counsel Senior Vice President at Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail Limited. Let's have a huge round of applause, everyone, for Ms. Jyothi VK. Our second panelist is Mr. Raunak Singh, Legal Counsel and Company Secretary at Amway India Enterprises Private Limited. Let's have a huge round of applause, everyone, for Mr. Raunak Singh. Our third panelist is Ms. Sharwari Deshpande, Legal Counsel, Employment Advisory, Litigation and Compliance at Capgemini, India. Let's have a huge round of applause, everyone, for Ms. Sharwari. And our fourth panelist is Ms. Niti Mittal, Global General Counsel at Coforge. Let's have a huge round of applause, everyone, for all our panelists. Meanwhile, we have also started discussions in Hall B, which will be focusing on legal innovation for tomorrow, insights on risk, IP, data, and governance. And the topic of panel discussion there would be intellectual property in India. Thank you so much.
So, good morning all. Dear audience and fellow panelists, very warm welcome to this panel. I am Niti, and today we are discussing the use of AI and legal tech tools and the consequences, issues, risks associated therewith. Okay, and what are the steps we as professionals can inculcate at the start so that the risks are mitigated? We all have seen that AI tools bring bias with it. And why that bias comes? Because the data on which the AI tool has been built, that data is not properly cleansed, algorithms are not properly written. That's why the bias creeps in. I'm sure you all have heard about cases of Compass tool, which is used in US courts. Okay? It gives an indication to judges whether this person would be a repeat offender or not, based on various permutation combinations. Okay? It used AI to give that judgment. Now, it was seen that it was giving high risk ratio for black compared to white offenders. So it was discriminating based on race. Okay? Why? Because algorithms were not properly written, and when it was brought to light, there was a huge hue and cry around it. Okay? So now, as we proceed further, I will request, we have a very seasoned professional, Jyothi ji here, and I will request her to guide us how these biases could be kind of killed or at least mitigated at the early stage so that algorithms and the AI tools are most beneficial for our companies. Over to Jyothi ji.
Thank you, Niti. So I think before I answer Niti's question, I would like to take you a step back to the basics of AI. Because it's, as lawyers today, it's just not important to know or get excited about what AI can do to you and the AI use cases for you. I believe it's very important for us to know the models, the AI models deployed. Because today what's happening is everything is being so generalized. And whenever we make any comment on AI, we don't really have in mind what exactly we are commenting on, but we generally join the bandwagon and start saying, okay, AI is bad, AI is good, and stuff like that. So that's the reason, especially for lawyers in the room who are looking forward to, use AI, it's important to understand the models. So I'm not here to give you a detailed lecture on technical aspect of it, but I thought I'll just quickly simplify it, deconstruct it for you. So broadly, you can think of AI models as discriminator models and then your Gen AI models. So basically, what is a discriminator AI models? Of course, there are many ways you can train AI, right? So there are so in discriminator AI model, what you do is you basically classify the data sets. There is a decision boundary, and the AI is trained to classify the data as X, Y, Z, something like your e-spam, filters, So you come to the Gen AI, but in Gen AI, basically, you are training the AI. It is, of course, it's a more advanced model. Something it works something like human brain, the way neurons work. So what it does, it does is, here the AI is trained to learn from its data sets. It could be speech, it could be voice, it could be text, and in combination of all, and generate new artifacts. That is your Gen AI model. Now, when we have these two different types of models, as lawyers, when we look at use cases, it's important to understand what is it we want from this AI. Now, let us say that you just want, let's say that you are a litigation team. You have a vast litigation database, your own company database, and plus there are a lot of, the relevant rulings, things like that. I don't think you really have to go for a Gen AI model. You could actually manage with a discriminator AI model and appropriately, and and these are all explainable, because here there is no hallucination, no fear of wrong answers and things like that, because everything is very much close indoor, and then and depending on your questions, how you refine your searches and things like that, you get the answers. So that is what you should go for instead of having a Gen AI model. Now, if you are looking at a Gen AI model where you want really the AI to generate something new, like let's say you get a show cause notice and you want the Gen AI to draft a reply to you, again, if it is taking or it is drawing information as like a discriminator model, if it is taking data again from the very close, refined content and things like that, perhaps it may still be easier to say that, okay, it can explain why it is, because you know where the data is coming from. Because again, I'm coming back to Niti's question, because today the largest fear in the minds of AI users is, it can hallucinate. It can give you wrong results. And she just now gave that example where, the AI was giving you wrong results because basically the data that was used to train AI was by whites, and hence where it was prejudiced against blacks, and most of the defendants were predicted to be repeated offenders just because they were blacks, So that is, again, it all goes to training of AI. So again, back to what I was explaining is, we need to understand again, like, what do we want from this? And do we really want the data? And do we want the AI to crawl the entire universe and find the data? Then if it's an open source, which means if it is just going all over the world, getting to all the websites and getting the information, then you have a problem, because that's where AI can make mistakes. So having said this, so I believe there's no right or wrong answer, Niti, and to all of you here, it's very important for you guys to understand the models. And for those who really want to know more, I must tell you, I was privileged to be part of NESCOM's, initiative, where we created a responsible AI playbook for developers. It is there on the net. You can just go and Google it very beautifully. I would not say it's a gold standard, because it's an evolving thing, right? Again, it was released sometime in September, and it is definitely going to undergo a lot of changes. But what we were trying to do, because it was a collaborative effort between developers and lawyers, so we tried to kind of put all the stages for lawyers to understand. One is a concept stage, where you really try to understand what is this model for, what kind of model is this, who are the users and things like that. That's one. Secondly is your data. What kind of data are you really applying your data protection principles and things like that? And then, and of course, what kind of data you're putting in open source code, because that's very important. You can't put sensitive information there. It can get picked up by the AI, and it can even get leaked or, whatever. So then the third stage is the DDT, like we call deployment and the testing stage. So where you deploy, but you should also understand, like, what kind of deployment is happening. Is it like a third party is deploying it, or you guys are developing it? And how are you going to test it? Like, what kind of results, how are you going to test? Are you going to have audits? What kind of, everything you need, it talks about the documentation of the AI mechanism there. And then finally, we have the, monitoring, deployment and monitoring, post-deployment, in terms of, do we have a disaster management plan? Let's say AI starts acting up very funny, and you know that it has to be. You should have a disaster recovery plan. You should have rollback options so that you can just put an end to it, so that you don't have to, make further mistakes. Things like that, we have very beautifully put that in 4 stages. So it's, you guys can always look up Google and find NASSCOM's Responsible AI Developers Playbook for Developers. So you will find all of these. So if we are able to kind of understand these, and of course, depending on our organization's practices, requirements, and risk appetite, if we are able to develop or even engage with a responsible AI vendor, then I believe that most of the problems will be solved. So I think I'll stop at this. I don't want to make this a monologue. There are many more interesting things to come from my other co-panelists. We can always take up further points in the next round. Niti.
Thank you. It's been very insightful, and definitely I'm sure that playbook would be a gold mine for all of us sitting in the room. It will give us first-hand information of the months of research and time investment which all lawyers and developers would have done. So I'm gonna go and read it today for sure. Sharwari, would you like to add something on this topic about how to remove bias or in this?
I think first and the foremost thing, whenever there is any innovation, I think ethics is very integral to all innovation, because ethics is the trust in the innovation which is coming. And the trust is coming out of a lot of parameters, that is transparency, accountability, what is the construct of the technology. And by construct, what I mean, what is the purpose for which is going to be used, what is the output that it is going to give. At the same point of time, now when we are in the mode of beyond AI, we are in agentic AI, where the machine is going to learn from the inputs or from the data. It is more important that at one side, the technology is designed in a way that it does not create a bias or a pattern in the way it's learning. So this responsibility goes on the developer or who are managing the AI tools. The other aspect, I think, to curtail bias is also on the user, because we need to understand for what purpose that AI is made, and precisely taking the point from Jyothi, that what is the purpose for which the AI tool is made, what is that we are looking out from the output, and at the same point of time, what are the limitations, because when we say that AI technology purpose, we also want to emphasize on transparency, that what is the kind of data it is processing, from where that data is coming, which also helps the user to understand that whether it will create a bias or not. And this is slowly, and this is how actually we build the trust in that innovation also, because we know where the data is coming from, we know what for the purpose it will be used, we also know that what kind of accountability tomorrow there will be on the developer as well as the user to use the output. The third aspect I want to emphasize here on, which helps curtail the bias, is difference between knowledge and information. So we use the AI to get the information, not process knowledge for us. We have humans for that. So that is also curtails the bias aspect of it. And fourth is safety. Again, which comes back to the aspect of transparency and where it is deriving data from. So source of data, the purpose, and of course the user prudence are all three together which will help curtail the bias.
Thank you. Very, very insightful. And just associating it with a old, like a very old saying, plan with the end in mind. So whenever you are planning your AI tool procurement, plan with what is the end state which is there, and just take care of the risks which this panel just highlighted today, and definitely you will have better return on your investments. Moving next, we all know that these tools are generally cloud-based, and clouds generally clouds or whatever on-premise systems, there is a risk of misuse, breach, hacking, and thus essential to assess what risks we are carrying in the data which is getting stored, how to safeguard it. Taking a few examples, because any risk which happens will make you accountable for it. You must have heard the case of Ross Intelligence versus Thomson Reuters. Ross created an AI tool, and as part of its training, it was scraping the data available on the general web. Okay? And as part of it, it also kind of extracted the data from Thomson Reuters. So the data generally available on web is for personal use of an individual. What this AI was doing, it was taking a data, putting that into the database so that they could develop another information system out of it. So they were trying to do a commercial benefit of it. And this went into a litigation wherein Ross Intelligence took a setback because that scraping which its AI tool was doing using the publicly available data was disallowed. Okay. Then in New York, a lot of celebrities used a very niche law firm. The name is Grubman Shire M.N. Sachs. Okay. It had data of all the niche celebrities. It was under a ransomware attack, and which led to a big headlines, and the sensitive data of the clients was lost. So very clearly, AI, like loss or misuse or theft of data is definitely one of the areas we need to be aware of. And as legal professionals, we need to put in place various risk mitigation strategies around it. And I would now request Raunak to guide us about how do you propose to mitigate confidentiality and data privacy concerns while using your AI.
Okay. Thank you so much, Niti. So before coming on to the mitigation strategies which we may follow for, in order to hedge the risk relating to the confidentiality or the data breach, I would just like to highlight that being an in-house counsel or maybe a lawyer, it is a very, organization trusts us for the confidentiality or the privacy which will maintain. That's a paramount thing for which the organization always, look forward us, that being in counsels or the lawyers, we are always trusted to keep all the information which is being shared to us remain the confidential, and all the data will remain the same. So in order to address that, considering the challenges which we are having, since we all are in-house counsels or in the practicing, we are surrounded by the tools, managing from the case files to having a contract management, or be it a compliance management also. It involves all the tools. It may be having some or other type of the AI things which are used in that. So in order to address all these things, I believe there are few basic principles. If we can adopt that while using those tools or those AI models, it will really help us to hedge the risk which lies around the confidentiality and data breach. So the first and the foremost thing which I believe is the encryption of the data. And that's a very basic thing which we all are learning, not from the age of the AI, before that also that's a basic thing which has been, prevalent in the tech field, that whenever we are sharing any data, it should be, or using any platform, it should have a strong encryption facility, so that, and not even during the transmission of the data, it should also lies when it rests. Because most of the time we'll find that it provides the facility for the transmission, it will be encrypted. But when it's rest in that place, it should also be, it's majorly risk the, hedge the risk which lies along with the transmission and storage of data, which we usually do while doing any of the work, be it, case, be it your leading to case, contract, compliance, whatever it is. It may be have detail of your company's confidential information, your client's information, whatever it is. So that's a basic thing which I think it has to be ensured in every platforms. Then the second most important thing which I believe is in compliance with the global standards, and as well as the information security standards which is prevailing in the organization. So for example, if you are or I'm having onboarding any tool, like or any platform which I am using, it should be adhere to the global standards like GDPR or HIPAA and all other compliances, so that it's have a minimum basic parameters as per the law that they are complying with that. So it provides a protection for the data which is flowing in that system. Apart from that, there is also an important concept of due diligence of that platform or any tools which we are using as an organization, which we can address while onboarding that or while working on it, so that it's have appropriate parameters like ISO and all other security parameters from the data protection and confidentiality standpoint. So that also addresses, and all these are very basics, not around the AI. It's applicable to all the tools which we are using in the organization, from the perspective of mitigating the risk around the data and the confidentiality things. The another important thing which I believe from the Council's perspective is having a robust legal terms in the contracts which we are having while using having any such of arrangement with any of the such tools, so that it provide a clear mechanism about the what will be the consequences in case of the confidential breach, the timeline for reporting any data breach, indemnification provision around it, so that it will create a robust structure around the for in case of any data breach or kind of things. The last, and I think the most important, which is we are seeing on the day-to-day life also in our day-to-day work, that the training of our in-house teams. That's a very, very important. I'll share a very live example with you all also. That, for example, in now a number of open tools are also available in the open cloud. Anyone can access it from your in the laptop and do the research work and all those things, or even for taking the assistance from that. The training from that perspective is required from from the to the in-house teams, that how it has to be used and what's the purpose of the use. Likewise, my fellow panelists have suggested that it could guide us, or it could be help us supporting in our research, but it could not, it should not share. It should be information, but not a knowledge perspective. So one of the examples maybe you all also faced, seen in the day-to-day work, that sometime an intern or some team members may used to have do the research on the open AI platforms. It may be a chat GPT, it may be a Copilot, or whatsoever it is available in the platform. The main issue which I have personally foreseen, that the most of the time some organizations allows for that, but the privacy settings of those tools are not been properly configured, and it may leads to a severe data breach sometimes. Even not a data breach, it leads to that tools learns about or get the idea about what type of cases, what type of facts in that matter, which is highly sensitive to any organization. So while using all those things, if at all there will be a training around it, that how to use it and how will we address that, that really serves the purposes mitigation the risk around the data breach and privacy. So I think these are the few things which we will consider.
Great, Raunak. Very relevant. And what he mentioned, that don't think if it is AI, it is foolproof. It will take away all your worries. It can make you miserable unless you use it with cautious. So use the playbook which he just guided us, encryptions, following standards, okay, proper settings. So even in personal lives, we all use ChatGPT on our phone, Perplexity, and so many other tools. Please go check your settings. Be sure it is not just taking away your entire data and could expose you in some way or the other in future. So be careful about it. So
Even just wanted to add, it is not applicable from the perspective of what we are, doing on the day-to-day life. You may have heard, or we all know that even in our mobile phones also we have the setting of privacy settings. That's a basic thing. I think we must have to have a, configure around it so that.
Very true, very true. If you
If
say,
I may
want
add, sorry, Niti, on that, it's just not about setting today what you're seeing. Even in ChatGPT, like the free versions, the paid versions, enterprise versions, they have different features there. Even if you see ChatGPT, if you see that 4.0, obviously your privacy guardrails are higher there because it's paid, right? So that's also important to understand what kind of these AIs tools that you're using, especially the Gen AI.
yeah.
If it is free, you must know that
Then
you
you
are
are the
trading
product.
your personal information.
Yeah, so they are feeding on your information.
Right. If there is a great saying, maybe if you are the, if something is free, then you are the product in that case.
Yeah. Yeah. And have you seen, if you say, I want to buy, say, iPhone, if you just say that and your phone is nearby, you will start getting those creeps. So your phone is listening to you. And it immediately kind of evolves on it and starts sending you advertisements around it. So having those settings correct, as Raunak mentioned, is very important. Okay. So thank you once again, Raunak, for bringing those very pertinent points. Now, so till now we learned that there is an inherent bias which we need to be wary of and do all that is needed at the start stage so that that bias or other kind of dependencies do not creep in. We need to maintain confidentiality. Now, if your AI goes wrong, okay, if it does something bad, then nobody would go and catch hold of that AI because AI is not existent. They'll come and catch hold of you. So it's important to ensure your AI is kind of aligned with the local regulations, how it sources data, the work it performs, and every aspect of it assess carefully and ensure it is not violating any legislation. I have few pertinent example. There was a AI company called Do Not Pay. Okay, what it does is it would give a legal advice for various matters. So if I am just self-representing myself in US courts, I do not hire a lawyer. I get everything made from this AI called Do Not Pay. Okay. Obviously, because there was no human intervention to recheck the output, it made errors which came to light, and it was kind of debarred because lawyers spend years in trainings and all, and this AI was not getting all those, and it was practicing law which was not allowed by the bars, and thus it ran into all these issues. So the lesson that we learn, that tools that overpromise or lack proper human oversight could create issues. So just don't create AI and lose it open. Have a human oversight over it so that if issues comes, they could be addressed and rectified. So now I would move on to Sharwari to guide us on this topic, that who is responsible when AI goes wrong in legal matters?
Yeah, Niti. So basically, when coming back to the aspect which I highlighted before, that what is the purpose of the AI, for what purpose it is used by the user, and what is the output where the data is going. So if an app was never meant to give any legal advice and it was just required for you to help facilitate, put some, just taking the example of do not pay, the app was developed basically only to contest parking tickets. That was the very limited scope. Slowly it started giving legal advice, and later on, yes, they did advertise themselves as, virtual lawyers. So having said so, there was a clear-cut advertisement promotion that yes, we are a virtual lawyer and you need not go to law courts, and we will provide a virtual assistant lawyer. At the first place, when I say that yes, it is not the purpose for which the AI was developed, it is definitely a responsibility of the developer or who are managing the AI tools. At the second aspect, from the user responsibility. And it brings back me to a very primitive concept of caveat emptor, if few of my friends remember, that the users beware. But I will not say users beware, users be informed that what is the purpose of the AI, what is the limited information, and what is the end result. Can I, when I'm contesting my parking tickets, can I actually get a legal advice which is not related to that? Is the AI developed that way? So, primarily, yes, it is the high responsibility lies on the developer also, and who are advertising the AI beyond its purpose. Secondly, where it is acting at its purpose and it is user who is deriving that information and using it for the purpose other than what it is meant for, then it will be a user's prudence that may be at the question. So both responsibility is very, very important. Secondly, whenever there is an AI innovation, or especially when we are using legal tools, trust me, most of the legal tools that we have in the market are boon to us, because we have a lot of case data, administrative data to be managed. And most of us are from the generation where we used to actually pull out the books and look at the citations, which are available at the click now. And trust me, the tools are actually facilitating us to reduce the administrative time, and we can focus more on productive decision making. That's all that is the purpose of the AI tools. They are tools, they are facilitators. They are not the decision makers for us. That's why I think whatever the legal tools or legal platforms or portals are coming from us, they need to have the focus on a knowledgeable and a facilitated approach rather than an advisory approach, because whenever there is an advisory coming, it is deriving out of the artificial data and intelligence which is fed into it by a human intervention at every point of time. So this, I think, all in all would be my input on this aspect. And coming to the point that we had a government who have a detailed report now on governance of AI tools. We have a committee which include data privacy officials, which had officials from MIT, and it's a detailed report which actually gives a very good governance to developers, to companies developing such tools, portals, as well as users. And it gives a very good parameters which emphasizes on the aspect that we should take care when developing any AI. Some of the points would be transparency, accountability, safety. Safety in terms of data, safety in terms of user, safety in terms of the perception it will develop in the user. That is also a human aspect that need to take care of. Sustainability and digital governance by itself. So it's a very detailed report that we have, which is a very good guidance when developing any AI tool. Even in any company, when they are developing any AI tool, everybody has an in-house legal teams. So it is a guidance to the in-house legal teams also, that when we are pitching any AI product outside, it also carries the trust of the company along with it when we are pitching those innovations, and what the underlying trust should take care of all other parameters which are mentioned in the report, which will take care of what the AI should be, what is the purpose, and what possibly the user can use it for. So I think that would be my summary of the topic.
So may I just chime in here? So very interestingly, on 1st Jan 2025, Illinois Supreme Court came out with this policy, okay, wherein it said that the lawyers could use the AI, again, in contrast to what you're discussing. So they said, like, you could use AI, but you need not disclose that you are using AI. Look at the U-turn here, okay? While the rest of the world is saying, including GDPR, it's saying you have to make informed decisions, people should know if AI is involved and all of that. It came in as a jolt. In fact, I was really surprised that why would US do it, because US is a OECD member, and one of the OECD principles is transparency and disclosure, and it looks like it is contrary to the OECD principles. But, you know, the policy also says that if there are any misleading content, if there are any misleading results generated by AI, people who are using it, they are responsible.
Caveat emptor, if few of my friends remember, that the users beware. But I will not say users beware, users be informed that what is the purpose of the AI, what is the limited information, and what is the end result. Can I, when I'm contesting my parking tickets, can I actually get a legal advice which is not related to that? Is the AI developed that way? So, primarily, yes, it is the high responsibility lies on the developer also, and who are advertising the AI beyond its purpose. Secondly, where it is acting at its purpose and it is user who is deriving that information and using it for the purpose other than what it is meant for, then it will be a user's prudence that may be at the question. So both responsibility is very, very important. Secondly, whenever there is an AI innovation, or especially when we are using legal tools, trust me, most of the legal tools that we have in the market are boon to us, because we have a lot of case data, administrative data to be managed. And most of us are from the generation where we used to actually pull out the books and look at the citations, which are available at the click now. And trust me, the tools are actually facilitating us to reduce the administrative time, and we can focus more on productive decision making. That's all that is the purpose of the AI tools. They are tools, they are facilitators. They are not the decision makers for us. But that's why I think whatever the legal tools or legal platforms or portals are coming from us, they need to have the focus on a knowledgeable and a facilitated approach rather than an advisory approach, because whenever there is an advisory coming, it is deriving out of the artificial data and intelligence which is fed into it by a human intervention at every point of time. So this, I think, all in all would be my input on this aspect. And coming to the point that we had a government who have a detailed report now on governance of AI tools. We have a committee which include data privacy officials, which had officials from MIT, and it's a detailed report which actually gives a very good governance to develop. Caveat emptor, if few of my friends remember, that the users beware. But I will not say users beware, users be informed that what is the purpose of the AI, what is the limited information, and what is the end result. Can I, when I'm contesting my parking tickets, can I actually get a legal advice which is not related to that? Is the AI developed that way? So primarily, yes, it is the high responsibility lies on the developer also, and who are advertising the AI beyond its purpose. Secondly, where it is acting at its purpose and it is user who is deriving that information and using it for the purpose other than what it is meant for, then it will be a user's prudence that may be at the question. So both responsibility is very, very important. Secondly, whenever there is an AI innovation, or especially when we are using legal tools, trust me, most of the legal tools that we have in the market are boon to us, because we have a lot of case data, administrative data to be managed. And most of us are from the generation where we used to actually pull out the books and look at the citations, which are available at the click now. And trust me, the tools are actually facilitating us to reduce the administrative time, and we can focus more on productive decision making. That's all that is the purpose of the AI tools. They are tools, they are facilitators. They are not the decision makers for us. But that's why I think whatever the legal tools or legal platforms or portals are coming from us, they need to have the focus on a knowledgeable and a facilitated approach rather than an advisory approach, because whenever there is an advisory coming, it is deriving out of the artificial data and intelligence which is fed into it by a human intervention at every point of time. So this, I think, all in all, would be my input on this aspect. And coming to the point that we had a government who have a detailed report now on governance of AI tools. We have a committee which include data privacy officials, which had officials from MIT, and it's a detailed report which actually gives a very good governance to developers, to companies developing such tools, portals, as well as users. And it gives a very good parameters which emphasizes on the aspect that we should take care when developing any AI. Some of the points would be transparency, accountability, safety. Safety in terms of data, safety in terms of user, safety in terms of the perception it will develop in the user. That is also a human aspect that need to take care of. Sustainability and digital governance by itself. So it's a very detailed report that we have, which is a very good guidance when developing any AI tool. Even in any company, when they are developing any AI tool, everybody has an in-house legal teams. So it is a guidance to the in-house legal teams also that when we are pitching any AI product outside, it also carries the trust of the company along with it when we are pitching those innovations, and what the underlying trust should take care of all other parameters which are mentioned in the report, which will take care of what the AI should be, what is the purpose, and what possibly the user can use it for. So I think that would be my summary of the topic.
So may I just chime in here? So very interestingly, on 1st Jan 2025, Illinois Supreme Court came out with this policy, okay, wherein it said that the lawyers could use the AI, again, in contrast to what you're discussing. So they said like you could use AI, but you need not disclose that you are using AI. Look at the U-turn here, okay? While the rest of the world is saying, including GDPR, it's saying you have to make informed decisions, people should know if AI is involved and all of that. It came in as a jolt. In fact, I was really surprised that why would US do it, because US is a OECD member, and one of the OECD principles is transparency and disclosure, and it looks like it is contrary to the OECD principles. But, the policy also says that if there are any misleading content, if there are any misleading results generated by AI, people who are using it, they are responsible for that, and it is unacceptable, which means a lawyer is using it, so he has to be fully assured, convinced that this is a safe thing for me to do, and then he goes ahead. And so they are putting the onus back on the lawyers or whoever are the users when they are using the AI content, and the court is washing its hands off from this responsibility to say, hey, listen, whatever you guys submit, I'm going to take it. If you have used AI, that's your responsibility. If you have misled me, again, it's your responsibility. But well, it has very different implications, or we need to really look at it very differently from regulation perspective, which we can deal it with later. But I thought it's an interesting information.
Yes, interesting. So maybe what courts are probably doing, they are cutting the argument that it was AI's fault, not mine. So that is how I see courts progressing to make you culpable and accountable for the tools, which is AI tools that you use. So we all have to use it very wisely.
Decision making by a statutory authority, and I think you need to be a lot more responsible. And again, I think it all boils down to having a responsible AI policy, right? And again, I would say that I'm not promoting that, but I would say there are many other NIST frameworks. You have so many materials available there. OECD guidelines are there, FIPB principles are there. All of that you can utilize and create your own, like the way all these, today Googles and Metas, and they have come up with their own responsible AI playbook. It's important to create your own playbook if you are an enterprise. But if you are a user, just understand who is it going to impact. Then I think it makes it easy for you to decide.
So thank you all. I'm happy to take the questions.
Hi, good morning everyone. Thanks for this. So I have seen that there are multiple stages, and I think we all are trying to reach the final stage. Earlier, when in our days things were more of manual, the first stage was to digitize this. The second stage was to make it automated so the manual processes go off. The third stage is using that the data, use machine learning so that we can focus on which sectors we need, what we need. So it's basically nothing, no human intervention, but machine to learn. I think until that stage, it is more about an evolution. The last stage is where we talk about artificial intelligence. That's where I would say, that's where I would say the gray area lies as of now. Since you all are 4 GCs, I would ask this question: if it is an opinion from a lawyer or a law firm or a consulting firm like us as Scroll, would you mind any of our reports having a notice to readers say that a part of us has been work done by artificial intelligence? Or you would prefer still that our work continues to be pure play in terms of our own expertise and with zero reliance, or I would say, almost zero reliance on artificial intelligence?
May I have your name, sir?
My name is Vicky Gala.
Okay. Thank you. Very, very important question. We all fly for our business trips, for our leisure. Will any of you board an airplane which publicizes completely driven by AI? Okay. Tesla has mastered self-driving cars. Okay. We all love cars. Will any of you buy a car which is self-driven for a Delhi traffic?
Probably yes. The safety issues are addressed.
Sure. So whoever says yes, raise hands. Good. 3 in the room. So daring people. I will not do it. So definitely, I think you got the answer. So if there is a promotion just AI, at least at this stage, I don't think we all are ready. Leave alone AI. If we go to a bank which says everything is through a ATM machine or everything is through a teller machine, there is no human in that, maybe we will not feel that comfortable. So maybe that's the next level.
I'm not asking for everything. I'm saying, will it be also a portion of it being done through AI, and that becomes a part of a consultant's report? Would you absorb that report the way it is as of today? Even a portion of it.
Yeah. So, answering that question, I would say the answer depends on, certainly, I can give you this example where we had to digitize a lot of documents using the APIs and all of that, wherein the AI picks up the images of the clauses and directly populates into the system. So that was a software, that was the AI product that came to us. So we were okay with it, as long as there was a human intervention. So I think a fair mix of both, where there is still a human oversight, perhaps we can go for it, because that would be useful. To say, no, we are not going to touch anything where there is AI, personally, I would not do that. I would definitely go for leveraging AI products, provided, there is a good amount of accountability and also human oversight at this point in time. Because we should all remember that we are still in the narrow AI stage. We are not even gone to AGI stage, wherein it becomes that very intelligent. AI becomes intelligent, like the one you see in the sci-fi movies. We are still in that stage. Hence, a mix of both I would go for.
Sure.
So just to add, the example which Niti has taken. So, for the aviation, it's not about AI. We are not aware about the autopilot mode. Right, so we all know about that. So it is always there. Maybe we can treat it from my lens. I would look at it as an autopilot, which can run the aircraft on their own, but it can't be run the flight on its own unless there is a human intervention. So as long as it's having a human intervention, control and responsibility around it, it's fine to have it. So.
To all the fellow gentlemen, I think we can keep the discussion going on in the networking break, which is right after this. So I would like to thank, and if you would like to conclude this session, thank you to all the panelists.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you all the panelists. And I would request to please come forward for a group picture. Let's have.